Let's take on two quick issues. One, Donald Trump just told us that his own Secretary of State is part of the fake news media. And two, if Donald Trump self-pardons, can President Biden unpardon? Let's talk Pompeo and pardons, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So let's tackle two quick topics today. One, Mike Pompeo, and two, presidential self-pardons. First, Pompeo. So in yesterday's video, I talked about how Donald Trump always seems to be on Russia's side. Rarely is he on America's side. And today, old Donald Trumpsky proved that point once again. So in talking about the recent massive cyber attack against the U.S., Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, admittedly not a man of great character or integrity, but Mike Pompeo said something that made perfect sense. Here's how it was reported out. Pompeo, Russia pretty clearly behind massive cyber attack. So Mike Pompeo told the American people, Russia is responsible for the cyber attack on the United States. You know what Donald Trump immediately followed up with? A series of tweets. I'm not going to read them all, but let me hit some of the lowlights. Regarding the cyber attack against the United States, Donald Trump blamed, quote, the fake news media for saying Russia, 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 when Donald Trump said, it may be China, and then he put in parens, it may, exclamation point, for good measure. And then Donald Trump's tweets trailed off into fictional election fraud land, and he railed against, quote, ridiculous voting machines, and he bragged about how big his election win really was. But there you have Donald Trumpsky proving the point that he's always on Russia's side. And now he tells us that his own Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, is part of the fake news media. Let's turn for a minute to presidential self-pardons. Now, we can all agree that the scope of the presidential pardon power is broad. But the Constitution doesn't say a president can pardon himself. The Constitution also doesn't say that a president can't pardon himself. You know what else the Constitution is silent about? Whether a president can revoke a pardon, either one that he himself granted or one that his predecessor granted. There's a column in today's Washington Post by a gentleman who's a constitutional scholar. He also happens to be the president of Duquesne University. His name is Ken Gormley, and here's how the headline reads. If Trump pardons himself, Biden should unpardon him. Now, I've talked in earlier videos about how pardons are essentially nothing more than executive orders. And we all know that incoming presidents revoke, rescind, amend, modify executive orders all the time from their predecessors. I happen to agree with President Gormley that Joe Biden can and should unpardon, revoke the self-pardon if Donald Trump grants himself a pardon. Now, Donald Trump almost certainly will pardon himself. Remember when he stood up and announced, I have the absolute right to pardon myself? We can see it coming. It's who Donald Trump is. If Donald Trump pardons himself, President Biden should revoke the pardon. The Department of Justice should charge Donald Trump with the crimes he's committed And then it should all move into the courts so we can litigate the legality, the constitutionality of a self-pardon and the constitutionality of revoking a self-pardon. I, for one, would prosecute that case for free. But you know what the single most dangerous thing is about a self-pardon? It's letting it go unchallenged. Why do I say that? If Donald Trump pardons himself, and we, the people, through the Department of Justice, refuse to go into court and challenge that self-pardon, you know what that becomes? Something I would call atmospheric precedent. What do I mean by that? For the rest of time, people will say, Donald Trump pardoned himself and nobody challenged it in court, therefore it's lawful, it's legal, it's appropriate, it's constitutional, and every future president will have the opportunity and the power to pardon himself or herself. It's not legal precedent because there's no court that has ruled that a self-pardon is or is not constitutional, but it becomes atmospheric precedent. It becomes ingrained in our national psyche if Donald Trump does it and we do not challenge it in court. We will then have to live with it for the rest of time. And we can't afford to live with a president who can self-pardon, because then that's not a president, that's a king. That's a dictator. That's not what this country is about. This country is about justice. And justice matters. As always, folks, thank you for tuning into these videos. If you would like to more formally support our all-volunteer efforts, you can go over to patreon.com, sign up to become a patron, and if you do, I will send you some Team Justice stickers with a handwritten personal note of thanks. You can also find us now on Facebook. We've recently started a Facebook page. It's Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner. So if you're inclined, please go over to Facebook and like our page. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Glenn Kirshner 2. I'm on Twitter all day and night trying to answer your legal questions. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.